July 20th, 1969, 33,000 feet above the moon's surface. Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin are 4 minutes from making history. 500 million people are watching. 12:02, alarm ringing. The computer is overloading. Mission Control has 30 seconds to decide: abort and come home in failure, or trust the computer and risk crashing into the moon. The person who could answer that question was 200 miles away, watching on a small TV at MIT. Her name was Margaret Hamilton. She was 33 years old, and she might have been the reason Neil Armstrong didn't die that day. This is the story of the code that saved the moon landing. In 1961, President Kennedy promised America would land on the moon before 1970. There was one problem. Computers were the size of rooms and crashed constantly. NASA needed to fit one in a spacecraft the size of a small car, with less power than a modern calculator, 72 kilobytes of memory, and one shot to work. No rebooting at 240,000 miles from Earth. Most 1960s computers crashed multiple times per day. A crash in orbit meant dead astronauts. So NASA contracted MIT to write software that absolutely, positively could not fail. In 1961, programmer was considered clerical work, mostly done by women who couldn't get real engineering jobs. Margaret Hamilton had a math degree and was programming to support her husband through law school. When she interviewed at MIT in 1963, they asked if she could handle the pressure. She said, "Try me." Within 2 years, she was leading the entire software engineering team. She was 28 years old. Most programmers saw code as just instructions. Hamilton saw it as engineering. You didn't hope it worked, you proved it would work. Her first breakthrough was priority scheduling. The Apollo computer had to navigate, control orientation, run radar, display information, and monitor systems simultaneously. But it could only do one thing at a time, switching between tasks thousands of times per second. Hamilton's solution worked like an emergency room. A heart attack patient doesn't wait behind someone with a sprained ankle. She divided tasks into priority levels. Priority 1, keep astronauts alive. Priority 2, complete the mission. Priority 3, nice to have. If the computer got overloaded, it would ignore low-priority tasks and focus on survival. This had never been done before. In the 1960s, when computers encountered errors, they stopped. Blue screen of death. Game over. But you can't reboot when landing on the moon. So Hamilton designed asynchronous error recovery. The computer would detect an error, identify which task caused it, kill that task, restart it from a safe point, and keep everything else running, all in milliseconds. This concept, now called fault tolerance, is in every modern device. Margaret Hamilton invented it in 1965. You've probably seen this photo. Margaret Hamilton standing next to the actual code that flew to the moon, printed out. That code couldn't be loaded like a USB drive. It had to be hand-woven, thread by thread, by women in a factory. Copper wires through magnetic cores. Each wire represented a 1 or a 0. One mistake meant scrapping the entire module. Margaret's code had to be perfect before weaving. No patches, no updates. So she tested obsessively. What if the radar fails? What if the astronaut enters the wrong command? What if the computer gets overwhelmed during landing? 4 years of 80-hour weeks, bringing her daughter to the lab on weekends. And then, July 20th, 1969, 3 minutes to landing. Everything is perfect. And then, the rendezvous radar was accidentally left on, feeding the computer thousands of unnecessary data points per second. Program alarm. 26-year-old Jack Garman has 30 seconds to decide. He checks his notes. 12:02, executive overflow. But next to it, go if it occurs during descent. He trusts the software. The computer did exactly what Hamilton designed. It detected the overload, killed the low-priority tasks, and kept the critical systems running. The alarm triggered 4 more times. 4 more go calls. 4 more times, the computer worked perfectly. 200 miles away, Margaret Hamilton watched on a grainy TV. No cheering crowds, just the quiet knowledge that her code worked. 2 things to remember. First, Margaret Hamilton led a team of over 100 programmers. Engineers like Don Iles wrote critical landing code. She was brilliant, but she succeeded because she built and led a brilliant team. Second, After Apollo 11, who got celebrated? Astronauts, flight directors, hardware engineers. Margaret Hamilton got a thank you letter and went back to work. It took 47 years for her to receive the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's not heartwarming. That's a cautionary tale about whose contributions we value. The computer that landed on the moon had less power than your phone. But it was reliable in a way most modern software isn't. When was the last time your phone crashed? We've normalized software failure, but now we're putting software in charge of life and death decisions again. Medical devices, self-driving cars, aviation systems. Margaret Hamilton proved that when lives depend on code, the code has to be right. Software engineering is engineering, not move fast and break things, not we'll patch it later. In 1969, Margaret Hamilton's code had one job: keep 2 astronauts alive while landing on another world. It worked, not because she got lucky, because she engineered it to work. What modern software do you wish had been built with Margaret Hamilton's rigor? Social media algorithms, voting machines, banking systems? Drop your answer in the comments. Next week, the Radium Girls, women who painted watch dials with radium and whose lawsuit changed labor law forever. Hit subscribe. The woman who taught computers to save lives. Thanks for watching.